Hello and welcome. In this video, we are discussing topic of graph theory and which is loop matrix. Let's see. Loop matrix, it is also called as a circuit matrix also. Loop matrix tells us which branch constitute in a which loop and what are its orientation. If loop matrix is given to you, we can easily reconstruct the graph and vice versa. Means if graph is given, we can write the loop matrix, and if loop matrix is given to you, we can reconstruct the graph from it. So loop matrix or a circuit matrix is represented by BA. For a graph with n number of nodes and b number of branches, loop matrix is a rectangular matrix with columns same as the branches B, and number of rows are equal to number of loops. Now what are the elements of this loop matrix? It is -1, 0 and 1. Now let's see when it is +1, -1 and 0. The element is 1 if the branch J is in loop I and its orientation coincide. Then this Bij element is -1 if branch J is in loop I and its orientation do not coincide. Its element is 0 if branch J is not in loop I. That means for loop matrix, if particular branch is part of that particular loop, it is either 1 or -1 depending upon the direction of the branch current. If branch current coincide with the orientation, then it is 1, and if it does not coincide or do not coincide, it is -1. So what is the orientation? Always the current are assumed or loop current are assumed to be flowing clockwise direction. Means if the direction of branch is in a clockwise direction, it is 1, that means it coincide with the orientation, and it is -1 when it is anti-clockwise. And if branch J is not part of that loop, the element is 0. One more point you need to remember, loop matrix is always analogous to the KVL, Kirchhoff voltage law. Now let's take an example for the loop matrix. We'll consider the same graph which we have discussed in the previous videos. This is the circuit for this graph. Now we'll build or we'll write the loop matrix for this graph. To write loop matrix, our first step is list all the loops present in your graph. First loop, branch 1, 3 and 4 form first loop. So loop 1, branch 1, 3, 4. Similarly, branch 2, 3, 5. 2, 3, 5 form one loop. Then third loop is formed by branch 1, 2, 6, 7. Okay, this is also one of the loop. Then loop 4 formed by 1, 2, 4 and 5. This complete loop. Like this, loop 5, loop 6 and loop 7. So you have to list all the loops present in your graph. Then we can form the loop matrix. The number of columns in a loop matrix are same as the number of branches. Branch 1 to 7 present in your graph. So these are number of columns, and number of rows are same as the number of loops you have listed. So we have listed here 7 loops. That's why number of rows are 7. Now let's write the elements of this matrix. The elements of this matrix depends upon whether the branch is part of the loop or not. Now for loop 1, your first row is related to your loop 1. Okay. Loop 1 is formed by which branch? Branch 1, 3 and 4. Now if the direction of branch current and the loop current coincide, then element is 1. And if it doesn't coincide, then element is minus 1. So for branch 1, then 3 and 4 will get element either 1 or minus 1 depending upon branch current and loop current coincide or not. Now let's take this first loop, and our branch current is given, and loop current always we have to assume clockwise. So here, check here, the branch current 1 and loop current clockwise direction match. That's why the element of branch 1 and loop 1 is 1. Similarly, branch 3, your loop current direction is this clockwise, and branch current direction is same, coincide. That's why element for branch 3 is also 1. Same for branch current 4, and your loop current directions are opposite. So the element for loop 1 and branch 4 is minus 1. So always whenever we write the loop matrix, go row wise. It will be easy. Now loop 2. What are the branches for loop 2? 2, 3 and 5. So loop 2 branches 2, then 3 and 5. Only for these branches you will get 1 and minus 1 depending upon whether the direction coincide with the loop current or not. So this is our loop 2, and the loop current direction is clockwise. So here branch 2 and our loop current direction is opposite. So we are taking the element minus 1 for loop 2 branch 2. Similarly, branch 5, your loop current direction clockwise, and it matches with the branch current of 5. So for branch 5, it will be 1. And for branch 3, your direction, branch current and loop current is opposite. So element is minus 1. Now go for the loop 3. Which are the branches? Branch 1, 2, 6. For loop 3, branch 1, 2, 6 and 7. Only these 4 branches will get element either 1 or minus 1. Other branch for 3, 4, 5, it is 0. Why? Because these branches are not part of our loop 3. Okay. So loop 3 is this one. 1, 2, 6, 7. Now our loop current direction is clockwise. Always assume clockwise direction in case of loop matrix. So check whether the branch current and loop current match the direction, whether they coincide or not. If coincide, it is 1. If not coincide, it is minus 1. For branch 1, minus 1 because they are not coincide. Then branch 6, it coincide. Branch 1, it coincide. Branch 7, it doesn't coincide. Like this, we will get the element of the row 3. Now row 4 is related to the branches which is part of loop 4. This is loop 4. So which are the branches? 1, 2, 4 and 5. Only these branches will get either 1 or minus 1. Other branches will be 0. So loop is 1, this outer loop, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 4. And direction, loop current direction is clockwise. Check the branch current direction whether it coincide or not. Branch 1 direction coincide, it is 1. Branch 2 direction doesn't coincide, it is minus 1. Branch 5 direction coincide, it is 1. Branch 4 direction doesn't coincide with our loop current direction, that's why it is minus 1. Similarly, you can form for the row 5, row 6 and row 7. So these are the rows are nothing but your loop 5, 6, 7. Check the which branches are part of that loop and what are its orientation. And other remaining elements are all 0. And this is my loop matrix. So loop matrix tells us that which branch is part of which loop. Like previous video which we have written incident matrix. In that matrix tells us which branch incident at which node. Here loop matrix tells us which branch incident at or coincide or part of which loop. So this is a loop matrix. Thank you.